going on, Fearless Nation? Instructor Phil here, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about your learning process. I know it's a little different than what I normally talk about. Usually I'm teaching a technique or I'm teaching, a scenario. But today I had a couple students come into the school and they were expressing some concern about the upcoming tests that are going to be happening. And I wanted to explain to you guys what I explained to them so everybody can hear it. When it comes to learning techniques and it comes to retaining the information, some things you're going to retain better than others, some things other people are going to retain better than you. And that's totally okay. You don't have to feel like you're missing something or that you're out of the loop if maybe you're learning something a little slower than somebody else. But all that to say, I really want to make sure I give you guys a handful of little tools that you can use to make sure you're learning a little better. So the first thing, I want to explain the learning process to you. Number one, you start learning as soon as you see the demonstration in class. Whether you're here at Fearless Nation or you're at another martial arts school or self-defense school, your instructor is going to demonstrate something for you and they're going to teach you the technique. They're going to explain it to you. So that's the surface level of the learning. You're not going to do the majority of your learning by watching. You're going to do the majority of your learning in the next step, where now you're practicing. So when you're with your partner, you're with whoever it is, Joe Schmo, you're practicing with your partner back and forth. You're getting that feedback from them, that physical feedback, so that you can see what in the technique is the most important, what are the pieces of the technique where you have the most problems, and then because you see where the most of the problems are, now you know what to improve upon. Next to that is when the instructors are walking around, make sure that you're doing the technique. You don't stop to get nervous and freak out because the instructor's around. Make sure that you're doing your technique, that way the instructor sees what you're doing and now they can critique you and they can give you the things to make you better. That's step 3. And then step 4 is after you leave from class. Here's one of those tools I want you to take with you. After you leave from class that night or that day or whenever, a seminar, go home on a pad with a pen, just write down the technique. Let's say we're working on jab and cross. So now you understand, okay, I'm here, boom, boom, that was my jab and cross, boom, boom, jab and cross. And in class, you understood that. In class, you were doing fine. Maybe the instructor didn't even see right away maybe if there was a mistake. But when you go home and you start recalling all the things your instructor said about how to throw a proper jab and cross, and you start writing those underneath your technique, making sure that you're hitting with your 2 primary knuckles, that you're turning your wrist, things like that help kind of solidify and concrete that information into your mind. Think of maybe a front choke. We understand the pluck, boom, and you're in class, and maybe your partner's being nice, and they remove the threat from your throat, and it's great. But then you go back and you start, writing down the technique, and you realize, okay, make sure that my thumbs are tucked. It's a nice strong hook. I'm going deep to the technique where I feel the danger. Elbows backward, not pulling down. And you start remembering all these things as you write them down, and as soon as you commit it to paper, it's going to help commit it to your mind. And then here's the most important, at least for me. The most important is that, like with anything in life, the only way that information gets continued is that you share it with somebody. So you've practiced it in class after you listened, you took the critique from your instructor and you kept practicing with that critique. You went home, you wrote everything down. Now it's time to show it off to somebody. You go to your significant other, you go to your best friend, you go to your coworker, whoever it is, and now you teach the technique to them. You preface by saying you're no expert, but you teach the technique to them. And that right there, I'm guaranteeing, will show you the world of difference, because you are going to immediately realize, A, how much you really do know. Because a lot of times when you feel like you don't know something, it's really just you're not sure of yourself yet. But I guarantee you start teaching it to somebody and all that information starts coming back to you. And now you realize how much you really do know. And then B, you start realizing a couple of things, okay, I forgot about that. I gotta make sure I ask my instructor next time. That's gonna help elevate your learning process. It's gonna help make sure you reduce those moments in class where you go, oh, I don't remember anymore. It's going to reduce all those moments for you, and it's going to speed you along. That way, when next time your test comes up, you're not nervous anymore. Next time your test comes up, you're confident, you're ready, and you know for sure, I remember my techniques.
Yeah.